Order filled. Order filled.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. All right, wanted to hop on early today since we have CPI coming up. See if we can get into any early positions. Last night was super choppy. Let's see what kind of levels we got from the overnight session. So London high and Asia high are pretty much at the same spot. This is our London low right here. And then Asia low was right at yesterday's low. So it kind of just stayed in that range. Looking at the higher time frame, like moving out to the 30-minute, man, didn't really go anywhere last night. Looks like everyone's waiting for CPI news. So looking at the 4-hour, we definitely hit that resistance at 800. That was pretty clean yesterday and had a strong rejection off of there. We found a little bit of support at this 589 level, but to me, that's not a huge level. Let's pull up our volume profile, see what kind of support we have. So in terms of the volume profile for the higher time frames, we didn't bounce at a huge support area from what I'm seeing. We could come even lower to like 550 or really 486. We have some bigger support areas down here if we're moving down further today. So that's kind of where my shaded region is where the next support is that I see, like 500 to 470-ish right in there, if we're going to see some more downside from news. So really, if we stay below this value area low level from yesterday, around 680-ish, 700, if we stay below that level, I could see more downside. If we reclaim this level at 680 to 700-ish, then we could go higher. I see more likelihood that we're going down though. Yeah, Sasmit, kind of taking an early look today, see if we get anything with CPI. Wook was asking about gold. Yeah, gold's definitely been pulling back. It's coming into some support though. So there's a possibility we could see a bounce today. So in terms of CPI, you guys, if you're trading with a prop firm, definitely check your rules. I know a lot of them don't let you trade within like 2 minutes of news or 1 minute of news. Every prop firm's a little bit different. So be careful with your rules. I know, like, Take Profit Trader, for example, I don't trade with them, but I think they're not allowed to trade during news. Lucid Trading, you're not allowed to trade during news. So check your prop firm rules. Probably a good idea not to take any new positions during that time anyway. But just in case, check your rules. Starting to get a little bit of a dump on gold. Let's see what we got for NASDAQ. That's what we'll be watching. Not a whole lot of a pattern last night. Do I have any entry criteria on lower time frame? And I'm not sure what you mean, Sasmit. Like candle patterns, or like, are you talking about like a 2-minute closure or a 1-minute closure? What are you talking about? I don't look at specific patterns. Like I know a lot of people do, like the wick test or like, yeah, different candle patterns. I don't look at that kind of stuff. If I'm looking for a reaction at a specific level, I usually wait for the 2-minute closure, just so that I make myself have a little bit more patience not to like enter on the first 1-minute candle. And then I usually look for some sort of wick. So that's kind of my criteria, if that answers your question. Like if it's coming down or up for like a liquidity grab, for example, if it like passes that level and then reverses in the opposite direction and has a large wick, and the 2-minute candle closes in the direction that I'm wanting, and then the next 2-minute candle is starting to continue, that's usually what I look for. I don't typically wait for the 5-minute, just because by that point, if it's a strong reaction to a liquidity grab, then I feel like I've missed it by that point. So kind of like I was talking about in Discord yesterday, a lot of times what I'll do is maybe enter on the 2-minute just to like get a little bit of a position in. And then once I get confirmation, I can add to that position. So hopefully that answers your question. So really I'm just waiting for a reaction. Like for example, if I was to, I'm not, because we have 3 minutes left, but if I was waiting for this Asia high liquidity grab, for example, I would move to the 2-minute time frame. If I was looking to short off of this level, if the 2-minute closed like with a strong wick, maybe it turned red, and then the next 2-minute candle was starting to be red and like continue bearish, that's when I would take that short. I made myself zoom out to the 2-minute though. I know it's still like pretty aggressive, but the 1-minute was just too, like you can get faked out pretty easily on the 1-minute. So like for example, if, like one of my favorite setups is a liquidity grab plus a failed auction. So let's say, just for example, this line right here is the initial balance high, and it comes up, grabs that Asia high liquidity, and then comes back down and closes within the initial balance. That to me would be a short opportunity. So what I might do is add a little bit to my short here after I see that rejection of Asia. And then I would like wait for confirmation of closure below the initial balance, and then maybe add a little bit more here so that my average is better than if I had waited for it to close all the way back within the initial balance. So that's usually what I'll do, because I try to keep my risk no more than $200 per trade. So I'll add a little bit up here so that my stop loss can be all the way above that wick. And then as it starts to get confirmation of closure below, and perhaps I have more structure that I can like move my stop loss, then I'll add. But I only do that if I have a good reason to lower my stop loss so that my risk can still stay reasonable. Alrighty, there's CPI. Holy cow. Apparently it was good news. That was an insane candle, you guys. Woo! Hopefully none of you guys were actually in positions. Or if, I guess you could have been long, and then you would have been done trading for the day. Dang. All right. Let's see what kind of pullback we get, what things look like. Let this settle a couple minutes. It is coming up to yesterday's value area high, so if we're gonna get a pullback, it might be here, but definitely gonna let this settle. I'm not gonna be quick to take a short anytime soon. That was insane, you guys. Yeah, I guess you could look at it that way, Sasmit. It's not exactly two positions, but you're kind of just averaging in, I guess. So if you have a strong bias that you think it's gonna continue in the direction that you're planning on, you can enter early without confirmation and then add to it after you get confirmation. That way your average is just a little bit better, if that makes sense. All right, so it did reject at that value area high. Let's see if it pulls back to where that news candle released. Coming back below yesterday's point of control. I'm gonna put an anchored VWAP on that news candle to see if we can get any information about where it's headed. Because if it stays above this news candle, like after it settles, we could see some further upside. If it starts to drop below it, then we could be retracing the whole news candle. It'll be interesting to see how the market opens. In my experience, the majority of the time, the same reaction you get from news, you're also going to see in the New York Open. So even though the news is officially like over, the Open at 9:30 Eastern is still going to be pretty crazy probably. Still kind of stuck below yesterday's value area high. Let's see if we get some continuation or if it's going to reject from there. Interesting spot. This is just going all the way up to yesterday's high. Woo, this is crazy. Good morning, G-Man. Sasman, I'm not sure. We'll see how the trading goes. If I'm able to hit my profit targets early, then yeah, I'll be done. Go hang out with the kids. I'm not sure. We'll see how the day goes. Good luck with your trading, Sasmet. Let's see how it reacts at previous day high. We're getting really close to all-time highs, you guys. So if this passes previous day high, I don't see why we don't hit all-time high. Getting close. This is going to be an all-time high kind of day, huh? There ain't no stopping this train. Woohoo! All right, we are at previous day's high. Getting a little tiny pullback here. Let's see how this candle closes. We might be getting our pullback finally. Or not. I mean, if this thing breaks above previous day high and holds, we're definitely headed towards all-time highs. It'd be interesting to see, though, if it actually hits all-time high and pulls back, or if it just keeps going. That was a strong news candle. I know, I mean, CPI is one of the biggest movers in general, but a lot of times you'll have the news and after like 2 minutes or so, it'll settle and maybe retrace a little bit of that. That is not the case today. Holy cow. I do have that VWAP anchored at the news candle. So there could be a couple of opportunities there. If it starts to come back and possibly bounce off of that candle, we could get a pullback entry to go long. Or if it breaks below it, then we could see it retrace that candle. So those are kind of the two opportunities I'm looking for. If it comes back to that anchored VWAP, we'll see what kind of reaction we get there. Continuing up above previous day high, headed towards all-time high. Let's go. Slowing down a little bit. We're starting to see a few red candles in here. Pulling back below previous day high. That's just wild, you guys. When we put it on the five minute. Straight up. Interesting spot here right at previous day high.
Order filled.
Taking a little scalp short. See if we either come back down to like value area high or something, or retrace the candle. We'll see. I'm not counting on that. Taking this based on the fact that we are rejecting previous day high. And we had a huge candle on that news, so might get a little retrace. Put the news anchored view up on here too. If it comes down to that anchor view up candle and bounces, I'll get out. $797.5 was my entry. See if we can get down to maybe 764-ish. Again, depending on how it reacts there though, sometimes the whole news candle retraces. I don't want to count on that because it was pretty bullish. Let's see, you gotta stay below previous day high for me to be happy with this one. "45 minutes for your trading window to start and you're bored? Go play some video games or something. I know you've done that before." Come on. Let's continue a little bit. Buyers are strong. Sellers are not able to bring this thing down. Let's see if it holds that previous day high. Oh, your pre-session rituals. I want to hear about that. I'd love to hear what you do to get yourself prepared for the market. Yeah, G-Man, I'm taking a short. Not planning on having it retrace like crazy. I'm going to kill it if it goes much higher. My reasoning behind it, though, was, it's got to retrace at some point. I know that's a terrible reason, but mostly because of the previous day high. And for now, it's holding below it. So just looking for a little scalp, not for it to retrace the whole move. This is the news candle right here. And then yesterday's value area high. So kind of just hoping to get it back to that region. So far it looks decent, just because it is still rejecting that previous day high. But sellers are not able to hold it down. Definitely going against the grain. Momentum from the news is definitely slowing down, so there's a chance it'll go lower. Switch off all the lights, get some candles, go into full like Zen meditation mode. Similar to what I do. I read through my trading plan rules that I have that I actually shared in Discord. And then the biggest thing is I have some like affirmations that I've written down. Sometimes if I feel like I need it extra, like if I'm kind of just feeling tired or not super confident or whatever, I'll like hand write them out again. But on a normal day, I'll just read the ones that I already have written here. But it's basically like just affirmations about some things that I have that I'm working on mentally, like just actions that I want to work on to remind myself that I am a profitable trader, and like doing the things that are in line with what professional traders would do and how I need to act and stuff. So more of the mindset things, just to remind myself, get myself centered with that. It is not getting below this level. I thought the news candle would retrace at least a little bit. So here's the 5-minute. We have those 2 wicks on the 5-minute over there. But since then, it's not really continuing down. Oh, you guys are making me regret my decision. I love how everyone signs on and they're like, are you shorting? Are you crazy? What is wrong with you? I know. Dumb, okay? Dumb. I sat through it with enough anxiety. I'll at least put my stop loss at break even. I had a good reason for it, you guys. A decent reason. It was rejecting this previous day high and holding below it. And I'm not looking for it to like retrace the entire move. Just looking for it to get back down to value area high level. All right, so I'll take one off here since it's bouncing at that CPI anchored VWAP right now. And then let's see if it gets down to that value area high level from yesterday. Take off a couple there, and then see if we get a runner. If not, at least I'm in profit. Yeah, no, I understand, no diggity. As soon as that came out of my mouth, the fact that like it has to retrace at some point. Yeah, that's not a good reason for taking the trade. I knew it was against the trend. I knew it was risky. It was mostly because it was more of a liquidity grab, I guess. Rejecting that previous day high and holding below, and also the fact that 800 has been decent resistance. So I'm not looking to like hold it all the way back down. Although I am going to hold a runner because this is looking decent. So taking off some at this value area high level, which is also kind of a little bit of a fair value gap, I guess you could say. I mean, this news candle, the whole thing is a fair value gap pretty much. But we'll see how far it goes. Definitely going to keep my stop loss tight and aggressive since it is very much going against the trend. Ah, okay. There was a rejection level on ES too. I didn't even look at ES. Whew, this is crazy, you guys. Buyers are in the building. They do not want to let sellers bring this thing down. Look at those crazy up and down moves on the 1 minute. So before CPI, I was kind of looking at the market when we were way down here. And I was thinking, man, it looks like we have some more downside today. But CPI totally changed all that. So if we get a similar reaction, like if this news candle or just the news reaction in general continues in market open, we don't have any more resistance overhead, you guys. It's going to hit all-time highs and just continue up. So, interesting day we have ahead. Or, I mean, the nasty move could be this whole news candle just retraces and we get back down here below yesterday's value area low. We're sitting at VWAP and we could continue lower. This is definitely one of those days where with the New York Open, I'm not going to try to predict what happens. All right, Mad Moxie, I'm not the only person crazy enough to short CPI. Woo, let's go. All right, I'm going to see if I can get down to point of control at 731. That's where I'm going to put my trailing target. Holy cow, this thing's just going to go. Are we going to retrace the whole move? How about I put 1 at 731 and then just leave a little baby runner, huh? Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Drinks are on Krista. What? I didn't agree to that. I did not agree to that. Hey, if you want to like fly out to Houston, then sure, why not? So I did put an anchored VWAP on that news candle, and we are definitely below that, which I have not back tested this heavily. I mean, it's only been the last 3 or 4 months that I've used it live. But every time we have a CPI or like a big high volume news event like that, I'll put an anchored view up on it. If we start to drop below, then a lot of times it'll retrace a big portion of the move. So we could be coming back down to value area low, which is sitting right at VWAP, which is also right where that news candle opened. So 23,684, coming back down there, I could totally see it. I'm gonna hold my runner down there. 23,684. I was aggressive with trailing out on this one because it looked like buyers did not want to let this thing go. And I was a little bit nervous about it continuing higher. But I can't be happy. I can't be upset about taking my profits. Water then? No, fly out to Houston. I'll buy you a drink. I'll make you a drink. If you like old fashions, those are my specialty. My husband and I really like old fashions. I actually bought him one of those like torches for Father's Day. So we add smoked like pecan and mesquite and different wood chip flavorings to the old fashioned, and then put like an orange rind in it, or some cherries, depending on like what flavor combination you want to have. Good stuff. We've gotten really good at making old fashions. G-Man's on board with old fashions. Yeah, Raj, I'm watching my stop loss. If it starts to get green candles, then I'll get out. So this limit buy right here is right around yesterday's point of control, a little bit below it. And then this last runner that I'll have, one contract, is pretty much at yesterday's value area low and sitting right at VWAP too. And then it'll retrace most of that news candle. So pretty good spot to get out, and then wait and see how the market opens. So I was definitely thinking shorts today before CPI. Now I am definitely not sure. I'm going to see how New York opens. If we get a similar reaction and it's just up at New York Open, then obviously we'll be looking for longs. But if this retraces the whole candle and holds below value area low and VWAP, it could be going down like I was kind of thinking. We shall see. Yeah, no diggity. My husband and I don't drink much at all. Several reasons. One is kids. I have young kids that do not sleep in. My youngest boy sleeps till like 5:30, maybe 6 o'clock on the weekends. So if I'm like staying up late and feeling sluggish the next morning, then it is not fun to be a mom the next morning at 6 o'clock in the morning. So that's a big reason that we don't drink. And then also we both work out a lot. So it just kind of messes up your recovery and like your ability to work out the next day and stuff. Feeling sluggish. So maybe 2 nights a month, really? It's not much. That's why when we do drink, we make it fancy. We go all out with like smoked wood chips and stuff. We have fun with it. Well, yeah. And owning a gym, I guess. I don't know. That's not a great reason, though. There's a lot of people who like party hard as gym owners. They use that as an excuse to drink. Like, oh, I worked out. I burned a lot of calories. So I earned my drink, which is a stupid mentality. But there's a lot of gym owners that think that way. All right, now we wait and see if we get continuation lower or if that was it. It's kind of holding at yesterday's point of control right now, so that's a decent spot to hold if this is going to continue bullish. Sasmet, yeah, that's a decent comparison. It's like sitting at a blackjack table. Like, I just won $500, so now I'm going to go all in and double it up. Or you're going to lose it all. That's an option too. Good morning, Ches. What's going on? You missed all the fun. I might have to pull up a paper trading account with you guys if I finish early. Good morning, Shane. So, G-Man, I took a couple trades last night and finished up on 2 of my accounts. I'm up $8.79 here. And then this one, I'm up $7.93. I can't read numbers. And then, I mean, this one, I'll probably take one more trade here. No, Shez, I am actually in a short. I just have one runner left. I've scaled out of my position. But I took a short as it started to pull back below previous day high. And then just scaled out. I took out one at value area high, and then I don't remember exactly where. A couple more at like point of control. I had 5 contracts, so now I have one left, targeting down here at value area low, which is also VWAP. Or if not, then my trailing stop loss is in profit. So we'll see. So I'm watching Financial Juice right now, and I wonder if part of this pullback is not just like a news candle retracement, but there's a red news event pop up that says China orders companies to halt NVIDIA chip orders. So I haven't looked at NVIDIA's numbers, but that could be something that's affecting NQ right now for sure. That doesn't sound like great news. Yeah, I was watching gold last night. It was ugly. Honestly, NASDAQ was too. I may have gotten a little bit lucky being able to pull out some profit. Yeah, that's last night right there. No clear direction. Just chopping around. Thanks, No Diggity. I appreciate it. Honestly, I forget sometimes too. But since you reminded me, everyone go hit that like button. I think I deserve it today. I just shorted a CPI candle and managed to make money off of it. What the heck? Possibly dumb, but it worked out. Well, G-Man, at least you were able to put your stop loss in profit and wake up $22 in profit instead of red. That's definitely better. Wonder if, did gold have a reaction to that news? No, not really. It's getting a solid bounce right now. But didn't really have the same reaction NASDAQ did. Similar, I guess. This right here is the 7:30 candle, the news release candle. But it didn't continue up to the moon like NQ did. Yeah, G-Man, that's why I like Project X. Because then you can just set your stop loss and limit orders and then be okay with if one of them hits, then the other one's going to cancel out and it'll close your position. It's not like Trade Evade or Ninja Trader where like you have to be awake. Because if your stop loss hits, then you still have a limit order or a TP somewhere. Oh, cool. How long are you on vacation? How long are you away? All right, let's go back to NQ. See what is going on with our position. Still kind of just chopping around that point of control area. Probably waiting for market open. Oh, very nice. That's exciting. Congrats. That's a big deal. Like, having trading make that amount of difference. Like, not necessarily trying to get rich off of it and like quit your job, but you know, if you make an extra $1,000 a month, then being able to like save for your kids' college or pay for a really nice 2-week vacation to Hawaii, that kind of stuff it's awesome. Good for you. I've never been to Hawaii. I didn't go on a lot of super nice vacations when I was younger. I grew up in a kind of an average middle class family with 4 kids. So flying places was really expensive and not in the budget. So our vacations were, we had a pop-up tent trailer and we would usually like go camping at the beach or go on road trips. I lived in California and I had aunts and uncles and cousins and stuff in Texas. So we took, pretty much every summer, we took road trips to Texas and stopped along the way at really cool places like the Grand Canyon. Um, there's lots of like Indian reservations in New Mexico. We would go there. So those were my family trips. And then as I've gotten older, I've done a couple of trips, like gone to Jamaica and Cancun and more like Mexico, you know, like beach resort places. I'd like to go to Europe, somewhere over in like that area. Italy, Spain, I don't know. Lots of places on my list over there. Yeah, no diggity. I'm not complaining at all. I actually have some really good family memories from those road trips. We had a lot of fun. And obviously, it made an impact on me because that's what I do with my family now. We have a trailer, and most of our trips are like weekend getaways to the river and the beach and stuff like that. We go to a lot of state parks. I love those kind of trips. I'm sure the nicer, like fancy vacations would be fun every once in a while, but it's nice doing the cheaper, like camping trips because then we can do them often. It's like at least once a month that we go somewhere because it's not expensive. We pack all of our food and cook, and we just have to pay, you know, $70, $80 a night, whatever the state park charges. It's not bad. Which number was I? Like which kid number? Is that what you mean, Shez? There's 4 kids in my family. I have an older sister, older brother, me, and then a younger brother. So third. I was third. Gee, man, talking about Costa Rica, I've actually never been, but, well, I mean, I've been to like a resort. I've never been to the country, like in in the real Costa Rica area. Um, yeah, I've thought that that'd be a cool place to get like a vacation home someday. Run into Luna, yeah. So Luna's, he's pretty secretive about where he lives. I don't think he wants people to come knock on his door, but he's out in the jungle somewhere, from what I've heard. He's like out next to a river and just out in the middle of nowhere. I am more of a beach person, so I would want to find a place that's like walking distance to the ocean. Leak trades. How long have you been trading? I love. We're talking about like vacations, man. You talking about trading? No, just kidding. I started trading in September of 24, so less than a year. About what is that? 9 months, something like that. So somewhat new still. You get emails from realtors there? Yeah, I don't get like direct emails from realtors, but I'm definitely on some of those lists because I've done searches for properties in the area. So I still get emails with like, these are our 10 properties available. This one's been discounted. This one's on sale. It keeps the dream alive because we're definitely not in a position where we're going to be doing it anytime soon. But it's fun to dream. All right. So I'm still sitting in this position. It's kind of just chopping around at this point. Yeah, goals. So one of my goals would be to have, I don't know, 3 Airbnbs, 4 Airbnbs, something like that. And even if they just like break even, I'm not necessarily looking to make money. But if like if a renter will pay my mortgage payment, my loan payment, and I can just break even on it. So for one, they're basically paying for my retirement because, you know, however long from now it'll be paid off and I can sell that property if I need to. And then also I would get free vacations. So I want to have an Airbnb in different spots where I would want to have a vacation. So Florida, Costa Rica, places like that. So I can just hop around and stay in my own places and then have other people pay for them. You have a condo in Puerto Rico, but you don't rent it out. Why is that? I would guess if it's right by the airport, it would be a decent spot to get renters because people need a place to stay if they're like arriving late and need to have a spot to stay before they hop on their next travel plans, their driving trip or whatever. Ah, okay. Well, you have family that stays there. That makes sense then. He stays there during the winter to avoid all this snowy New York weather. I get that. Nobody wants snow. Well, I shouldn't say nobody. Crazy people want to live in the snow. Says the girl who lives in Houston. and prefers 95-degree weather. That's me. I would rather have it be hot. I'm not a fan of snow. I'm okay with snow if it's like a vacation. Like, I'll go to the mountains and sit in my cabin and drink hot chocolate. Like, that kind of snow sounds fun. Go sledding and then come back home and sit by the fireplace. But like living in it and having to just deal with the cold all the time, no thank you. All right, guys, we got the market open in about a minute. So it's not looking like this news candle is going to retrace, at least right now. It might hold this point of control and continue bullish. That's definitely a strong level to hold. Yesterday's fair value price. Let's see where it goes. For now, I'll just keep my stop loss there. Morning from Colorado. You're trading on vacation, huh? It's early in Colorado, so maybe your family's still sleeping. What is it, 7:30 right now in Colorado? I think it's like mountain time. Oh, everyone's awake. So, no diggity. The problem is when it's cold, you can't just always sit by the fireplace. And then if you have kids, getting like young kids that need help putting their jackets and gloves and boots and all that stuff on, oh my gosh, that is a pain in the butt. Especially when you have 3 kids, and then by the time you put their jackets and gloves and all that stuff on, then one of them tells you they have to go to the bathroom. And you're like, oh my gosh, are you serious? Did that happen to anyone else? No? That's just me? Maybe it's just me. What?
The tablet keeps dying.
It's what?
Keep dying.
Plug it in.
If it is.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know how to fix it. Maybe it's messed up.
It has the same avatar and everything.
Chez, where do you live again? You got a lot of snow where you're at? This is an interesting open. Oh, you're in BC. Yeah, definitely snow there. I can imagine that. All right, now we're moving up. Okay. I was wondering. It was kind of a choppy open there. All right, starting to break back above that CPI news candle, VWAP, anchored VWAP. That's a little bit more what I was expecting in the market open. A lot of times, whatever the news release is, a similar reaction happens in the open. So now we just get to see if this thing just continues to the moon and we're hitting all-time highs, or if it's going to reject in that same spot at previous day high. Gonna be patient and see what we get. The fact that it held above yesterday's point of control kind of makes me lean towards the fact that we're going higher. That would have been a great spot to reject if price action was going to be weak today at the open. But that did not happen. Interesting little 1 minute candle on that open. Nice little fake out to trap some people and then just go to the moon. That was mean. Hopefully no one got trapped in that one. None of you guys. Now it's all the way above yesterday's value area high. The only resistance we have above us now is previous day high and then all-time high. Might be one of those days where it's just enter market order long. Don't do that. I'm not doing that, you guys. Just want to be clear. All right, now we're getting a pullback. Best setup seemed to be after 9:40, 10 minutes in the open. Yeah. Not going to do anything crazy right now. It hasn't really hit any key bounce levels for me. Like maybe if it comes up to either previous day high and rejects, or grabs that liquidity from the news candle and rejects, possible short from there. Or if it comes back down to range low and has a strong bounce off of VWAP, I'd be interested in something like that. Because VWAP is also close to value area low from yesterday. So that's a decent spot to consider longs. It's also a pretty much full retracement of that news candle. So it's kind of in a middle chop zone for me right now. You had a cottage in Spain but couldn't handle the heat. I've never been to Spain, so I don't know what the weather's like, but I do like the heat. I guess I should add a disclaimer to that. I like the heat if there's water. Like, I like going to the river and the beach. One of my favorite things to do over the summer with my kids is go to the water park. So I don't mind being outside if I can get in the water. If it's like super hot and there's no water nearby, that's not so fun. continuing to inch its way up. Let's see if we end up getting up to this level here. Possible liquidity grab and pullback. That's the top of kind of the news release area. Also coming up to yesterday's high. 800 has been a decent resistance. But I mean, we don't have a ton of trading in this area, so it's not, I wouldn't say it's like heavy resistance. If buyers want to bring this thing up, then it's going to happen. Opening range high is sitting right at that 800 level. It wants to go higher. It's not going to pull back yet. Okay, G-Man's back. Now we can trade. Now we can take a trade. Do I utilize Fibonacci at all or don't bother? I don't. It's probably because I haven't studied it enough. Like, I know how to use it. Like, start at the low and the high, and you watch for the pullback zone. The thing that I don't like about it, and again, I'll preface this with the fact that it's because I haven't studied it well, but it's like, what zone? You hear people talk about the 382 is a strong bounce area, and if it bounces there, then it's probably going to continue higher. Or if it goes into the golden pocket, then that's a good level that it's going to hold. And then you have the 782. It's like, what are you going to do? Just buy in at all those levels and hope it bounces? I don't know. That's the problem I have with it, is just you hear every single level, 382, 5, the 0.5, the 786 or whatever. All of those are supposed to be good bounce levels. But you're going to blow your account before you actually make any money if you enter at all those levels. At least for day trading like this, like lower time frames, I don't. I have used it for higher time frame swing trades, but more on like the daily chart or the weekly chart, just to kind of see, like, is this thing still bullish? Where is it going to pull back to? I have used it in my swing trades, but not on day trading. All right, so it did come back up to previous day high. Starting to get a strong rejection from there. Interesting. I'm surprised that if it would come back that high, that it didn't just grab that liquidity from earlier too. Well, all right. I guess it is going to reject previous day high. I'm not going to enter now. Now I'd be chasing. I'd have to put my stop loss 50 points away. What a pullback. Holy cow, you guys. Dang. Did anyone get in on that short? That would have been a good one. And now it came all the way back down to VWAP. Opening range low and bouncing. Woo! That was a nice rejection. I was definitely waiting for it to come up to this 821 level before shorting. But that was a clean rejection of yesterday's high. Very interesting. Holding yesterday's point of control, but man, this is choppy, you guys. The 15-minute range is set. What kind of range do we have? 97 points, that's decent. That's a pretty big opening range. All right, so now the red news popped up on Financial Juice, which is why this big red candle dropped. Trump is considering allowing a major lawsuit against Powell. I don't like this choppiness, you guys. I was considering taking a short because it's rejecting value area high and VWAP, but it's jumpy. I don't like it. I'm gonna let this settle down a little bit. Now Trump says he's gonna sue Powell. Jeez. All right.
Order filled.
I'm going short. It did reject that value area high and VWAP level. Put my stop loss right above that candle. $741.25 is my entry. And I'm just going to target the 15-minute range low. There we go. That was a quick little trade. At least.
Order filled.
And it's going to continue dumping down. Man. Now it's going to retrace that news candle. Should have left a runner. Why don't you guys tell me to leave a runner? That happened so fast, I didn't even have a chance to mark my entry. Where did I get in? 741.25. All right. Now it's pulling below VWAP. Dang, you guys. Be careful with this price action. Fast movements. Size down. Be careful, you guys. Coming down to value area low, which is pretty much retracing this whole news candle. So if it's going to bounce, this is going to be a good spot. My trades, you guys, they normally take, my average trade is like 14 minutes. That one took less than 1 minute. That's going to bring my average down. Trump is still talking, you guys. I'm considering allowing a major lawsuit against Powell to proceed because of the horrible and grossly incompetent job he has done in managing the construction of the Fed buildings. All right. It's retracing. It pretty much came all the way down to the bottom of that news candle. Sitting at yesterday's value area low. It's below VWAP though. If we get a strong bounce, we could possibly long here, but I am not a fan of that with all the stuff that Trump's talking about with a lawsuit against Powell. This thing's going lower. If this does bounce and come back up to this 15-minute opening range low, that's also right in line with VWAP. We can watch for a reaction there. If it reclaims this level, we can go long. If it rejects this level, that'd be a good spot for a short. But at this point, I'm gonna wait for a retrace. It looks heavy, it looks like it wants to go lower, but I'd be chasing it at this point. Yep, this thing's dumping. So this level, I'll zoom back out to the 5-minute. We had lots of chop in this level right here. Overnight, that's our overnight point of control at 642. So if this thing does continue lower, that's a possible spot for a bounce right there, or it could come all the way down to these overnight lows. So just gonna be patient. I'd like to see it come back up to 15-minute opening range low and VWAP area, maybe take a short from there. I didn't know that Powell was in charge of the construction of the Fed building. That doesn't seem like something that would go under his job description. Don't they have like a project manager or something that's in charge of that? That's weird. All right. Are we going to reject at this spot or are we going to reclaim it? That was a pretty strong buy up. Interesting spot here.
Order filled.
I'm taking a small position short. Not gonna let it go very far though, because if this is going higher, then it's actually reclaiming VWAP and that opening range low. So the risk to reward on this one is decent. I'll give it a little bit of room, but don't want to let it go too high. If Trump is going to continue talking and being grumpy about filing a lawsuit, then it could go lower.
Order filled.
All right. It's going higher. Man, you guys, this is wild price action. It's reclaiming that 15-minute opening range low. Why do I trade NASDAQ and not S&P? NASDAQ is just the first thing that I was introduced to, first thing I learned on. And then from there, I was always told to master one instrument before starting to add others. Which I get, like if I'm really focused on a chart and learning like how NQ moves and hitting all the levels and trying to stay super dialed in, it's hard, like it messes up my focus if I have an ES chart and a gold chart and I'm trying to watch too many different things.
Order filled.
Okay, I'm retrying it. I don't typically do that, but it is rejecting that level. And then spots for it to come down to, I'll watch how it reacts at that overnight point of control at 642, 643. If it's gonna stay bearish, we have London and Asia low down here at 607. So I'll take off one at overnight point of control. I don't have that much room left until I hit my profit target on this account, so it doesn't even need to go that low. Actually, I only need to go about right there. 650 is my target. Move my stop loss to break even, so at least I don't lose money on it if Trump says something else. Here we go, here we go. Kid Savvy, no, this is top one futures. Yeah, my little box over here is in the way. But yeah, this is a top one futures instant funded account. And I have 3 that I copy trade. The 3 that I have up that I've been working on today is this one right here is trade day. So I've passed their eval and I'm to the point where I'm trading for the buffer and they have daily payouts. So this is my trade day account. I'm up pretty good in this one. And then my other one is I do have a Lucid X direct to funded account. So good day trading today. Hit my max profit in all my accounts. Not too shabby. Kid Savvy, do you trade with Alpha Futures? I've heard of them, but I haven't started an account with them. I think they have daily payouts. Or at least like no consistency rule. So that's nice. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and lock out this one. My funded futures, okay. I like my funded futures rules. They have good rules. I definitely prefer Project X, so I try to trade with prop firms that have Project X. And I know my funded futures doesn't. They're more of a Trade of 8 Ninja Trader prop firm. So Kid Savvy, I don't know which prop firm you're talking about, but I do like Top One Futures. They pay very fast. Their customer service is very fast. Like they'll reply within minutes, which that's important to me. Like Top Step, for example, I stopped trading with them because they overcharged me on a glitch that they had, and it took them 2 weeks to get my refund back to me just because they were not responding to my customer service inquiry. And that to me is frustrating. Like if you overcharged me, it was your mistake, and it takes that long to get my money back, I don't want to trade with you anymore. Like they totally burned my trust. So customer service is important to me. Top One Futures is really good with that. And then all the other ones that I work with, they seem to reply to. Top One, I copy trade 3. I have 3 accounts with them. You can see it up on the top. Up here, I copy trade 3 of them. And then with Trade Day, I copy trade 3. With LucidX, I currently only have 3. You can have as many as 5. My plan with them is once I get a payout, I'll reinvest and get 2 more. Thanks for stopping by, Chishimis. Have a good day at work. All right, so our 15-minute range is set. We still have 27 minutes until our initial balance is set. So this is our volume profile from overnight. It's definitely bouncing at this high volume area that we have. I personally wouldn't want to be taken along from here just because it is so close to all this liquidity down here at London and Asia low. My feel is this is just kind of a little fake bounce, and it's actually going to continue down to this area. If you're looking to find a little retracement long, I would be looking in this general area. Previous day low, Asia low, London low, lots of liquidity to grab right here. But also be careful with a long, because this thing is heavy. It's moving low. If you were to take a long, I would definitely recommend trailing your stop and maybe not going for a whole run, a home run. Like don't expect it to go all the way back up to range highs or whatever. Just maybe grab a couple points and get out. That's my thought. all of our tax dollars are paying G-Man to be watching me live stream and day trade. That's the truth right there. Just kidding. No, it seems like G-Man's good at multitasking. He has to leave for his meetings and go to work sometimes too. I saw a question earlier. I think it was Jose. Jose, are you still in the chat? You said you've been trading ES for a while. Would you recommend trying out NQ to trade it? There's definitely different opinions on that. How long have you been trading, I guess would be my first question. All right, you guys, if you haven't hit that like button yet, I'd appreciate it. Go hit that like. You just watched me have 2 winning trades on this account. Up $894 times 3 on each account. I'd say that deserves a like. Yeah? Maybe? Maybe a little? Where are we at here? All right, so can you guys see that? Yeah. So the balance on these accounts right now is 3,026. To hit my consistency target, I need to get it to about 4,500. So a couple more days of trading. And then hopefully requesting a payout. That's the plan. Well, we're definitely getting a big bounce from that area. That's not where I was expecting it to happen. It held that overnight point of control pretty nicely. There was lots of volume and lots of chop in that area. But I was expecting it to be a little more of a fake bounce and then continuation lower to this overnight liquidity. Coming back up to New York anchored VWAP. And again, that 15-minute opening range low. Could be a spot for it to reject, but that was a pretty strong bounce. Things are starting to slow down a little bit. We still have about 20 minutes until the initial balance is set. So far, this is our low. This is a decent spot for a short if I still had accounts that I was trading and I wasn't locked out. This is what I'd be looking at. We are rejecting the New York anchored VWAP. We're falling back below the session VWAP. This is the 15-minute opening range low. There's decent risk to reward on this one. You could put your stop loss up above that wick and then target even just the range low. And if you wanted to be super aggressive, you could even come down to like London or Asia low. So risk to reward on this trade is really good in my opinion. There we go. That's a strong rejection right there. Already 20 points in profit. You can move your stop loss into to break even at this point. Or at least move it closer. Give me an update, chat. How have you been trading this morning? Has anyone taken any trades this morning? Did anyone take that short with me earlier, or they're in this short now? What are you guys looking at? Yeah, that's right. You caught that really good short earlier. You were already in a position when Trump started to talk about how he was gonna sue Powell. That was nice. You probably hit your profit target in like 1 minute on that one too. Yeah, stay patient. Wait for a good trade. At this point, we're only 15 minutes away from the initial balance being set. So you can wait until then, possibly. Interesting spot here. It's getting back above VWAP, getting back above the opening range low. Man, I'm glad I finished trading early. This is definitely starting to get a little bit crazy, a little bit harder to read. So we are currently at yesterday's point of control. Breaking up above that. But we still have a couple minutes on this candle. This could just kind of be a fake breakout and then rejection, or we could be getting strong. So something possibly that could have happened was the market opened bullish because of the CPI news, similar reaction to when the news release happened. And then this drop was when Trump started to talk about Powell. And then possibly we found a bottom and now we're going to continue higher. That's definitely a believable story. Because we're definitely reclaiming all those levels and going higher. I'm putting our Discord link in the chat. We'd love to have you guys join if you're interested. Try to share different trade setups that we're taking after the stream is over. Talk a lot about like some of the psychological parts of trading. Just kind of helping each other stay on track. Helping everyone in there get payouts. That's the goal. Volume is dying off. You can see it down here. It's definitely slowing already. Alright, so it's rejecting yesterday's point of control. That's a pretty big area of interest for me. Lots of volume there. I wouldn't want to take a short immediately. I think for me, I would want to see it get back below that 15-minute opening range low, which is also right near VWAP. Really, the best thing to do would be to wait until the initial balance is set. Wait for those levels, and then take trades off of those. That'd be what I'm waiting for. I like when the initial balance, high or low, is right next to some liquidity, because that makes for a really nice failed auction setup. Like if it's going to stay within this range, but it has some liquidity to grab first. So let's say it comes down here and grabs this overnight low liquidity and then closes back within the range. That's a beautiful failed auction setup. We'll all be zillionaires soon. Have a good jog. Have a good day, No Diggity. Take care. All right, while we're waiting for this initial balance to be set, I'll start marking some of these, tracking everything. It's coming back up. Very interesting price action this morning, you guys. Getting back up to yesterday's value area high. Let's see if it continues up. It's like all the fun happened an hour ago at the news release. Now it's just slow. 5 minutes until that initial balance is set. That's kind of what I'm waiting for at this point. Shez, have you taken any other trades? Or are you still waiting for the right setup? Hoping for a retest of the highs, yeah. And it might actually even be better if it actually came all the way up to these highs at 822. The initial balance high, or the 15-minute opening range high, it really just came up to previous day high before rejecting, which is probably when Trump started to speak. But it would make more sense, and that would actually be a really nice failed auction setup too. If it came up above, that's a good thing to be patient for, Shez. I like that setup. If it came up and broke the initial balance high, grabbed that liquidity, and then rejected, heck yeah, I could see that. Just my thing personally, I think I would wait, like be patient and wait for a full-on rejection. I'm not saying you have to like chase it down, but make sure it's actually going to reject, because we are getting close to all-time highs. So if this thing is going to stay bullish, there's not a whole lot of resistance overhead. Lewis, the initial balance is the high and low of the first 60 minutes of trading. So in 3 minutes, the first hour will have wrapped up, and I just mark the high and the low. There's indicators that do it for you, but I just manually draw a line. So as of now, assuming nothing crazy happens in the next 2 minutes, this is our initial balance high, and this is the initial balance low. So that's the range that has been set within the first hour of trading. And a lot of times you can take trades off of those levels. That's why I was being patient and waiting for it to be set. So if you're familiar with like the 15-minute opening range trades, where you can take like a breakout or a rejection or whatever, it's very similar to that. So a lot of times these ranges are respected. So like if it comes up to the top of the range and rejects, you can take a short to either the 50% mark, or, I mean, if something crazy happens, it could come all the way down to the bottom of the range. And then you can also take breakout trend continuations. So if this would kind of be a crazy example because we're at all-time highs, but if it breaks out above initial balance and then it comes down to retest it, you can take a trade continuation long. So those are the things that I wait for with the initial balance, or watch for, I guess. I do have, if you're interested in learning more about that strategy, I do have a video on it on my channel. And then there's lots of other ones on YouTube too. You can just search for like initial balance futures trading or whatever. You don't even have to say futures trading because it applies to a lot of different things that you trade. I know people that use it with Bitcoin and crypto and stuff too. Check out that volume, you guys. It has just dropped off a cliff. Look at that. You can tell too, just price moving at a snail's pace. So we do have some Fed speakers starting up. Fed Barkin was speaking earlier, and now we have Fed Schmid is speaking. And then we have a White House press briefing at 1 o'clock Eastern. So, I mean, it's not as crazy as like Trump speaking or Powell speaking or something, but definitely be cautious of that. As far as news the rest of the week, not a lot tomorrow. We have crude oil. Let me pull up my list. Yeah, crude oil and then a couple of Fed speakers tomorrow. So nothing crazy compared to what we were dealing with today with CPI. Thursday, we have another big one with PPI and unemployment claims coming out at the same time. And then Friday, we have some decent movers as well with retail sales and then consumer sentiment. Pretty big stuff this week. So the initial balance is set at this point. So we'll see if we get any sort of reaction at these levels. Initially, as it was dropping, I was kind of thinking maybe we would get a rejection from this VWAP area and maybe come down and grab this liquidity. But it looks like it wants to go up. So now we're kind of watching for a reaction at the initial balance high. Well, at this point, things are slowing down a lot. Volume has just dropped off of a cliff. I'm going to set some alerts, kind of like I did yesterday. So I'm going to set an alert at this initial balance high, and then also initial balance low, and I'll kind of tell you guys what I would be looking for. So I set alerts there just to like notify me if and when to come back to my computer. But at initial balance high, we have this liquidity from 7:40 this morning, 8:40 Eastern, that is right above initial balance high. So if we break out above initial balance high, grab that and have a strong rejection and close back within the initial balance high, that would be a good failed auction trade. And what I would do is probably enter somewhere below initial balance high, because I would wait for the confirmation that it's closing below, and put my wick up, or a stop loss right above that wick, or wherever, like if it wicked a little bit higher. And then depending on price action, like if for some reason it starts to just get super heavy, or someone tweets something bearish, then you can possibly target all the way down. But a more likely target would be somewhere around VWAP right there. So I'd be watching for that. And then very similar on the other side. If it comes back down to initial balance low, and then it grabs any of this liquidity over here. We have Asia low, London low, and then previous day low. So there's lots of wicks down here that it can grab and have a strong reaction off of. So if it grabs those, bounces, closes back with an initial balance low, I'd be looking for a long. So those are the spots that I'm waiting for, see how it reacts at my levels, and go from there. But I think I'll call it on the stream for now. Join the Discord. So I put the link in the chat if you haven't joined already. That way we can keep each other posted if we do end up taking any trades off these levels, and kind of just stay in touch with trades after the stream. And then hit that subscribe button so you can get notifications when I'm going live again. I'll be live again tomorrow. Trade safe, you guys. Have a great one. See you soon.